So I decided to do a wee post in my car, which I've never done before, so I'll be probably looking all around me because everybody will be watching me, wondering why I'm talking to myself. Hopefully they think I'm just FaceTiming someone. So I'm having a wee pit stop. I'm, well, attempting to eat a KFC because it's plain. Anyway, so I had my rheumatology appointment today, which I was absolutely dreading. I did go to it, but when I went to the clinic, I seen the doctor who was there that basically panned me off last time. So I decided to ask, after overhearing quite a few people saying that they had requested not to see her, I decided to jump on that bandwagon and ask not to see her either. So when you hear that, other people sitting at a clinic and requesting not to see a consultant because of the way she treats other people, I felt happy to know that I was not the only one who felt like that about her. So anyway, waiting a wee bit, and I eventually did see another consultant, and he gave me all my results from last time. So when I went to see her 6 months ago, she wasn't interested. She looked on the computer before I came in. She'd seen that I've suffered from depression in the past, and she asked me if it was all in my head. She didn't want to give me an MRI, she didn't want to give me an x-ray. When she's sent for the MRIs and x-rays, she's asked specifically not to look for inflammation, which the only reason I found that out is because one of my consultants from my CF team had told me, which I don't understand, because that was the whole point of going for the MRI and the x-ray, because I wanted to show the inflammation that happens in the bones. But anyway, she didn't request that. So I have had other results back from other things, the blood test, the bone scan, and even though she didn't request to look for inflammation on the other scans, I did get results back from them. And it's sad to say, but at least I do have an answer. I do have arthritis, but if I'm saying it wrong, I'm saying it wrong. I will get it right. I'm sure he said it was degenerative arthritis, which is more associated with the elderly. The reason I have it is because of my cystic fibrosis, the amount of medication I'm taking, the fact I've had a transplant. Half of the medication I'm on actually prevents joint weakness, and the other half of the medication actually makes your joints and your bones weak. So I'm stuck between both worlds. But on top of that, he did say that I have fibromyalgia as well. So they're going to increase the amitriptyline that I already take, and basically he said there's nothing they can do for me because of the amount of medication I'm on. All they can do is manage the pain. So that was my point. I wanted an answer, and I want to be able to manage the pain on a daily basis. So he has said that increasing the amitriptyline could help that, and also the medication, it does weaken my joints and bones and everything else. I can't stop taking that because that's what keeps my transplant working and keeps my CF good. So that's just my car starting back up. So there's nothing I can do about that. All I can do is try and get help to manage the pain. So he said now for bones and muscles and everything, I do need lifelong physio now. But that's nothing new. I've dealt with physio all my days, but now it's just for a different thing. So but he said he understands my concern that I'm young. I don't want to result to having to have a wheelchair before I'm 30. I don't want to go down that route, but the way he described things to me today, if I don't start pacing myself, by the time I get to 40 I would be in a wheelchair permanently. There would be nothing. I would not be able to walk, because of it is going to slowly get worse. They can only manage the pain through paracetamol, because I'm not allowed ibuprofen. I'm allergic to majority of painkillers. There is a cream that he suggested I could rub on my knees at the joint that's sore. It's made out of chilies, but first I have to check with my transplant team if I'm allowed that, because I'm not allowed the sprays and gels and things like that. so I have to check that out when I go home. But basically it's just physio now, which hopefully they can show me other methods to manage the pain every day. But he basically said I have to bite the bullet, and if I am going out of day trips and I'm doing this and that, then I will have to resort to, right, okay, you need a wheelchair now to get about your day, otherwise I'm going to be up in pain for days, and maybe that's not worth it. Maybe it is time to just bite the bullet and say, right, okay, I'll do it because I'm prolonging myself. So at least I got an answer. I didn't think that was going to happen today, and I had a big speech in my head all prepared, ready to go when I seen that it was that doctor, and then when I heard everybody else requesting not to see her, I requested the same, and I'm glad that I done that. But then again, I'm not, because basically she's ate her words anyway, because she told me it was all in my head, and clearly it wasn't all in my head, and I knew I was right all the time. I'm always right. So that's been my day. That's my hospital week for this week anyway. That's my appointments out the way, and next week is a full week of up at the hospital 5 days a week next week, because I'm getting patch testing done to see what's going on with these face problems, because this side is absolutely swollen this week. It's a big massive lump at the bottom of my face. I don't know what's going on. So next week's patch testing week. Let's see how that goes.